This computer is not going out. Are we in recording? Okay. Hopefully. How do I say I don't want to turn on? Okay. All right. Okay. Welcome to this class. My name is Felix Wu. I'm your instructor this quarter. For this particular lecture, I'm actually going to cover a few basic concepts regarding why we want to learn this subject object-oriented programming. And then I'm going to introduce the class by going through the syllabus. So just to let you know, I did upload the syllabus to the Canvas. I intended to print hard copy for every one of you, but this afternoon I ran into some meeting. I will bring the hard copy to you on Friday. So just to let you know. So we're going to have a regular lecture hour Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 4. And then we have discussion hour from 4 to 5. I intend to use those as like extended office hour to help solving problem. You will see my discussion when we talk about the syllabus. Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to start talking about some of the concept directly, and from there, we're going to see why we're learning this class. So the subject of this class is called object-oriented programming. In fact, the concept of object-oriented programming, sometimes we just use the word OO as abbreviation. You will see concept like object-oriented analysis and modeling, or object-oriented design, or object-oriented programming, or object-oriented language. So there are different ways of describing, but they're actually trying to solve the same problem, but using different perspective or different tools. Some of these are computational tools, but some of these are more like a thinking tool. By the way, I think it's important. In fact, I think it's more important for you to actually explore some of the tool, not necessarily programming, but look at why you're doing programming. Okay, so I want to actually get started to ask you this. You can actually check Wikipedia if you have a device connected to the internet. When was the term object-oriented invented or being used? When? Do you think this was, or maybe when was the first object-oriented programming language was developed? Anybody want to try?
1966.
1966. In fact, it's even, that's good, but it's even earlier. I want to say that it's actually 1950, people start to think about this concept. But you're right, the first official object-oriented programming language was actually developed in 1966. So this concept has been there for a long time, right? If we started, say, it's 1950. What year is today? This is 2022. We almost finished 2022 by the time we turn into homework assignment number 6, I guess. And this is 72 years. 72 years. This is a pretty old concept. I mean, for example, the first well-known object-oriented programming language was called Smalltalk. That was when I was an undergraduate student. When I learned about object-oriented programming, this was right before C++ was publicly announced, but probably already developed within, at that time, it's called AT&T Bell Lab. But Smalltalk was developed in the early 80s or 70s. People started to develop this concept. So by the way, just to let you know, all I want to get to is that the concept of object-oriented is very old. If you think about that, 72 years. And so then I want to ask you this question is that, oh, by the way, I forgot something I want to show you. You probably didn't look at this very early. It says that appearance at MIT in the late 1950 and early 1960, and in the environment of what? Artificial intelligence group. So what is the hottest topic today? AI. It's also very old, by the way. So it's interesting that this language was very old, and AI is very old, and until today, what's the hottest topic? We always talk about AI and machine learning, and then we're also talking about the programming language. So there is a connection. Hopefully, by the end of the quarter, you will actually see the connection. That why, maybe even later today, you actually can already see the connection there. But the question I want to ask you at this moment, I really think this is important. I want to make sure you come to the right class. That's why I always ask this question. Why do we want to learn this concept of this language called OO while it's actually 70 or maybe 65 years old topic? Why do you think you want to learn this subject?
Maintaining new code.
Okay, maintaining the new code. Okay, that's good. That's a software engineering approach to look at object-oriented programming language, right? Object-oriented programming language, I will actually talk about that, is actually a lot nicer to organize our code. What else?
You can import it and export it.
Okay, but we can do export and import without object-oriented programming language, right? You will see that. What do I mean by object-oriented? What do I mean not by object-oriented? I'll get to that. What other reason we want to learn object-oriented programming language? For some of you, well, I'm a computer science major. If I don't take this course, I will not get my degree. I will not be able to get. Yes.
I think it's
threading. You're talking about parallel concurrency. Okay, that's good. Okay, the initial object-oriented language in fact is a single thread. So then when we introduce the thread programming, parallelism, the object-oriented programming become like a concurrent parallel, right? I mean that's a good point. Well, I actually want to say that this is interesting. If you look at every single required course, core course in the computer science curriculum. Okay, I hope I don't get myself into trouble just by saying this. I mean, it's recorded, that's okay. People can blame me saying this. Okay, so every single course we take, especially this is the lower division class, there is another course in the upper division that require this course because they need us to prepare you guys to be able to learn some more advanced stuff. For example, I assume a lot of you, not all of you, taken ecs36b, right? Most of you just probably, if you are not transfer student, you stay here last year, you probably take ecs36b. And what language did you learn? C, right? And then we will say C is important. Why? Because you need C, for example, to take operating system, ECS150. That's actually we can use C. So pretty much all the lower division class, discrete math. If you don't know discrete math, there's a lot of theory of computation, you probably get into trouble, and you have to learn some mathematics, calculus. And then for you to understand more advanced concepts. So pretty much every single lower division class, if you think about this, it has a kind of prerequisite of an upper division in the reality sense. Of course, ecs36b was listed as a prerequisite for some of the courses. But in terms of concept, there's no upper division course in, I would say, pretty much any CS curriculum that require you to know about object-oriented. They want you to know C or programming language. If you think about the course, I mean, you guys are too young, probably won't see it. You probably will see it in 2 years. They don't actually require you to do that. Then that's actually going to, for me to probe you this question, then why do you want to learn this course? Okay, so I'm actually going to, since you do not convince me that why you want to come here, okay, I'm just teasing you, okay? You do not convince me, so I'm going to spend this quarter to actually convince you that why this course is so important. It's so important such pretty much every single course in the upper division, they actually need to leverage the concept you're going to learn in this course. Okay, so that is something which I want you to keep in mind about what I said right now. And then I don't want, by the way, I don't want you to just learn object-oriented programming or ecs36b as yet another programming language, or yet another way to save you make more mistake. I mean, I forgot your what's your name? Ivan. So Ivan mentioned that it's actually going to help the software development process. Why it will help software development process? It's going to save us from some error, some mistake, some bugs, basically. Object-oriented really has that software engineering perspective. But if we only worry about the software development process, we actually fully underestimate the power of the paradigm, which is actually very important. Okay, so I'm again going to tell you a little bit about the first is what I call better software development. Okay, that's I call it two sides. I'm going to tell you the simple side first, and then I'll go to the one I really like. So essentially, this is what we call spaghetti code. Okay, I mean, this is, by the way, this is not C. This is like a Fortran that you can do go to or jump. I forgot which language this is. Maybe Fortran. That was the programming language I know in the 1970s something. And you can see that, oh, by the way, yes, this is Fortran. So you can see that this control flow is everywhere. I mean, by the way, if you see, if you're not careful, you can potentially write a code that looks like this, especially when you have a pointer, especially if you see you. Okay, I should actually test your knowledge about C at this moment. Can any one of you explain to me what's the concept of pointer to a function in C? Have you ever learned about the concept to actually, I know pointer C, the hardest topic in C is pointer, right? Pointer is an address is number is whatever, the array. By the way, they're the same. Array, pointer, number, address, memory address, they're actually the same concept. It's very, very messed up together. I mean, I will show you a piece of code. I will in a few slides, you can see how messy that was. But what is pointer to function? Have you ever write a code, which is write a pointer, which is the memory address, to a function?
Passing the pointer to a function as a parameter?
No. Passing a pointer as a function itself. So you're passing a function as a parameter to another function. And inside that function, you actually call this indirect of this function pointer by making a phone call. Not phone call. I actually should show you an example. I hope I have, don't worry about that because I cannot be recorded. Do I have this next slide? Yeah, but anyway, later I have to tell you, I have to explain the concept of pointer to a function because essentially C++ as a language, everything looks pretty good outside. But then C++ introduced a concept that Java, Python, none of them have. It's called virtual function. So C++ has a concept of virtual function to implement a very important concept, which we will learn. That was a core concept we need to learn this quarter called polymorphism. So virtual function, polymorphism. And the only way C++ can implement virtual function or implement polymorphism is through using a feature in C called pointer to function. Essentially, you have to put function pointer, which is a lot of memory address, into a table. So then at runtime, the system can decide which is the correct version of the function that you need to call. That was something which you will learn. But the thing is that from C++ perspective, all the detail of pointer and memory address has been hidden. You don't see this complicated structure. And object-oriented language such as C++, such as Python, such as Java, they actually hide all this complexity. So make your software more elegant. Okay, so that is the one perspective. So this is a way. This is what we call code by value, code by reference, and code by name. This is some of the concept. You can see that this is typical C code. You can see that's very complicated. I mean, no human being should be able to understand this. Okay, even though you have been writing C program, you got A in ecs36b, it's just too complicated. So we want to be able to write code which is more elegant and doesn't look like this. Okay. All right, so this is the one side of the question is that, okay, we're going to learn a language called object-oriented programming language. That's actually going to help us to do software development. And there's the other side. The other side, I will call it, is the complexity about the problem we try to apply in language. Okay, in fact, I think that I more heavily want to push the second side of the OO than the first side. The first side to me is just how you can actually write a code to reduce the chance to make error. But the first side, this side is actually looking at how do we actually use this language to be able to solve real world problem while the problem is really complicated. I will show you an example very quickly. I mean, you can think about this compare, say, okay, we can learn a language called English. To me, English is my second language. I can learn the language and without commit any error that picked by my daughter, who actually graduated in the linguistic department of this campus. And so that is one purpose. But the second purpose is that I need to use language meaningfully to communicate with 150 students and such that you will get something out of this quarter. So I think the second is more important than the first. The first is just avoid mistake. But the thing is that the second is what we really want to learn this quarter. Okay. All right, I'm actually going to show you this. Okay, this is a tool. I'm going to start to give you some example. I assume everybody here have used this tool called Google, or in general, we call search engine. So in general, what's a search engine? Search engine, you provide some input. We provide some input. The input could be a bunch of keywords, or the input could be some image. You can actually put the image and search, or you can actually provide some voice, such as Google Home. Last week, I think I asked Google Home, hey Google, what is the temperature of Davis today? Okay, I always got 3-digit number for the whole week last week. By the way, if you were not here last week, good luck. Okay, and so that's the Google search engine, right? We always do that. Input something, and we actually get something out of here. That's Google. But if you think about object-oriented, it's really what I want to do is I actually want to input some object. And then you're going to return me some objects. If you think about that, a text is an object. A cup is an object. A phone is an object. My happiness or my emotion, whatever evaluation or number, is actually an object. So I'm already starting to make the things pretty complicated, is that object can represent everything. In fact, we're living in an object-oriented world. Hopefully by the end of the quarter, you realize that everything is an object. Each one of you is an object. And each one of you contains so many other objects that's actually biologically embedded in you. And your device, your software, your data, they're all objects. And then you can actually do a search. I mean, search is just one application we really understand already very well. And essentially, the search engine is getting some object and return some object. So here is a pointer to URL. So I don't know if you heard about the term. URL stands for Universal Resource Locator, which is usually as a form of HTTP something, HTTP : // and then a web address and then / something else, okay? Usually end up with some kind of XML or HTML. But the thing is that I'm actually going to use an example to generalize the search engine. Generalized search engines, as you can see that when a person take object-oriented courses, realize that Google is actually very dumb. It's actually only handle keyword to pointer, but I actually can do a lot more with object to generalize. Okay, I'm going to share with you some very interesting. Okay, so what this looks like? It's a garage, right? What do you think about the garage?
Messy.
Very messy, right? If I want to search for something, I mean, we talk about search engine. Like, how do I search engine? How do I build a search engine to do this?
Well,
just to let you know, this is my garage, okay? This is my garage. I realistically tell you that a engineering professor has to live in this kind of garage in order to be able to learn the experience, how to teach the student how to organize their garage. Okay, okay. If the COVID allow, I will actually invite you to visit my garage at some point. Okay. Right. By the way, this is amazing. So I was doing organization, and I actually put stuff into boxes. You see, I have a lot of boxes. This is a small piece of boxes. I hope I show you my video that this is actually each of them. You can probably see some of the label. One of the label is actually my baseball stuff. I have a box which is all about baseball. And I have the box. This box is actually one of our children. I said, well, can I dump your work? If you look at that, this is the linguistic 5, whatever course that was. Okay, that was a UC Davis. So what I did is, okay, she said, no, you cannot throw away that. That's my stuff. Eventually, I'm going to retrieve that. So, okay, I cannot throw away that. So I put it in the box. I took a picture. Okay, I took a picture, I put it in the box, and I have a label. Okay, don't read this. Okay, this includes her name. All right. So basically, it has a label on the box, and with the content, I took a picture. And then, if you look at my previous, I actually put the box in different location, and I write a little bit, like this one says small toy, Play-Doh. This says Liz College. This says Liz College. This says Coke, EP, asterisk book. So you can see that I put a lot of label, and then I took picture. By the way, every single box I actually packed, I took multiple picture as I filled up the box. All right. So now what do I mean by search engine? So the search engine now is extended to be, okay, I want to actually find where is that in my garage. The garage is huge. For the garage, I know there is actually, by the way, I'm actually in the process of building a camera within my home, and such that I actually know precisely where's the mobility about the object in my garage. And so the thing is that anytime I want to find an object, I'm going to use a tool. For example, the most popular object recognition tool is a library. You don't need to know the mathematics. You can use, it's called ULO. ULO is a tool for you to recognize objects. By the way, there's a C++ Python library to connect to ULO. And the thing is that if I want to find something, I'm actually going to search through the picture. I just record it. And then I'm actually going to find, okay, at this time, this object is in this box. At this time, this box is in this location. It's very fast for me to be able to do this kind of search engine to actually be able to find that out. And it's not only the object, but I remember I said people are object too. So this is something which I think Google has not been up to date about the potential about after the paradigm, because when I look at the content, let me actually ask you, assuming this is, okay, 2032, we're in year 2032. And some of you actually want to say, okay, I want to find that PowerPoint file that Ivan, right? Ivan, what's your name? Vedan. Morgan, okay. Ivan, Vedan, and Morgan, and Felix. 4 of us in this room, 1010 TLC, there is a PowerPoint slide. Which slide is that? If I want to search that, today, your file, in your laptop, your cloud, all your files are organized with what? With a hierarchy, with folder, with directory. So there is no significant association about the social network that's related to that file. Today, 4 of us, in fact, 150 of us, we're actually sharing the content. We're all here. And that is actually associate what I call the people's interaction with object, when and where. So that is called, I call the universal resource locator, not just a URL, which is actually just describe where it is. How can I find it? It's really hard because a object is a concept. A object is so rich, it actually interacts with other objects. And therefore, the interaction itself is actually represent what happened in the real world. I mean, for example, I show you this picture. This is a box of baseball. And to be honest with you, I not only want to play baseball, to be able to find those glove and ball when I want it. That's actually the very preliminary. The more interesting story I want to know is that, well, when did I play? When did I use this equipment to play with which friend of mine? At what location? And what is my strengths? What is other related information that's actually go together with the ball? So an object has a life that go with it. And the thing is, now you start to see what's artificial intelligence. Because what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence will really represent the real world. So we have a way to understand what's going on in the cyberspace when we actually convert that information, not just convert it to a simple format, but actually be able to convert it to a format that's actually very rich semantically for us to solve a lot of problems. That's what we want to learn this quarter, is how do we be able to learn a language construct, not just to solve a few bugs, but how do we actually be able to represent the part of the world, the society you care most? And that capability is so powerful. That's why I said pretty much every single upper division class, as long as you want to build a real world system, this is actually the content and training that you need to obtain from here. Okay. All right, so I was showing my garage, but I want to show you a little bit more. In fact, it's not just the object that's actually in your home. By the way, there's a way to solve all the privacy problems. I mean, the reason that this is a #1 concern is, well, I don't want to have another extended privacy issue, such as what Google and Facebook and a few other companies introduced the trouble. But there is, of course, there is a way we can actually deal with a privacy problem, which you actually own the data that you actually possess. Your object is belong to you. So you can see that is actually can happen in a lot of things in your life. So this is when you go to grocery shopping. For example, you go to, let me just use this example. When I walk into that aisle of beer, and I mean, I was tempted to buy some, especially they're on sale. I mean, I said, wow, that's great. I can have some beer, relax a little bit, especially I teach ecs36b, it's so intense. I really need to relax. Okay. All right, but then the search engine to my home realized, well, you have too many beer. Or maybe even worse, my doctor's note saying that, hey, you have a beer addiction problem. You probably shouldn't have beer. You can see that immediately we go to the health issue. We go to a lot of outreach, or I'm actually, I mean, some of you actually share beer with your friend, right? In dormitory, I assume. And you realize you're perfectly good to put that nice box of beer, but your friend is addicted to beer and not addicted to alcohol anyway. So it's better for you not to do that. So you can see that immediately in the real world problem we apply there. So the information is not just about beer, not just about is mobility. Mobility means you're moving from nugget, that was actually a nugget market, to your fridge, which is a smart fridge. Right now, Google wants to push that very much. But also, you actually represent that information outside of those things. And how do we actually be able to deal with that? Okay, so that is what we want to talk about. So I think I talked enough. So just want to tell you the difference I want to emphasize. There are two things we want to learn. One thing is called object-oriented programming. We focus on syntax and the correctness, how to say certain things. But the second part I really call now object-oriented thinking. Object-oriented thinking is how do you actually create an innovative way to help our society to solve a problem. I mean, in this quarter, I would like you to expose yourself to the problem that you take. And I will explain to that. Now I'm going to shift it to the curriculum. Let me see, how much time do I have? Do I have 10 more minutes, right? Okay, I already uploaded this, but I will bring hard copy on Friday. I'm sorry about that, but right now let's just go together with this. So prerequisite, I don't want to deal with that. Is already, I actually sign a lot of waiver or, yes. I probably just published, sorry about that. I did that very late, yeah. Yeah, I think I published, but my trouble is that we have 3 sessions, so maybe one of the sessions I didn't do potentially. Yeah, we have 3 sessions. Okay. All right. So I said instruction goal. I said it's not just about linguistic, about object-oriented programming, but more importantly, why is this language ever exists and still being used? Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the content. There are 4 things I want to talk about. Just tell you that what I want to do. The first thing is that I just want to say that I will record all the lecture like today, but some of that when I realize there is no privacy concern, then I will share on my YouTube channel. You can actually go there to see whatever the content from the previous course. I do want to say that this quarter I redesigned a lot of things than previous quarter. So the homework has been at least partially redesigned. Okay, so that's actually not going to be exactly the same. I'm going to provide you the new video to help you to deal with the new version of the homework. Okay, and we're going to cover object-oriented programming. I'm actually going to teach both C++ and the JSON. I will explain why I want to talk about JSON as well. JSON is not in the official curriculum. JSON, by the way, stands for JavaScript Object Notation. The thing is that I have several students come back to me. I started teaching JSON together with C++ about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I think this is really important for students to take some good position in the Bay Area. Because essentially, if you look at the internet, what is the data is being transferred? There are two types. One is called XML, one is called JSON. It's essentially in the web, it's XML and JSON. So after your network packet pass through the first outside web portal, then when you go inside cooperate, everything is JSON. That's why JSON is so important for you to actually know what it is, how do you actually use that. The concept is very simple, and the concept can go hand in hand with object-oriented programming. So you can see that JSON, O stands for object. JavaScript, object notation. You can actually see that it's actually object-oriented. So you can actually see the similarity and difference between the way C++ represent object and the JSON represent objects. So to make a long story short is if you have a C+ of the object, if you dump from the memory, you can actually see what's in the memory. It's all binary. It's really hard for you to interpret what the data is. But if you look at JSON, everything is human readable. It's a little bit not as compact, but the thing is, it's much easier to handle for any kind of software. It becomes very portable. So I'm going to teach JSON. And I do want to say that I will spend my office hour to discuss all the homework assignment. The homework, of course, is important. I wanted to talk about the textbook. The textbook is has a link here. You can click. It's a free textbook. It's a very nice textbook. I've been using that, and more importantly, I actually only use partial of the textbook. You can actually download the whole textbook as a student of UC Davis for free. And then in my lecture, I'm not going to tell you which chapter I will cover. So you think about from chapter 1 to chapter 10, the textbook is essentially cover the topic of C programming language, not C++. The really object-oriented programming language is the 4 important chapters. Chapter 11, 12, 13, and 14. Those will be the most important chapter, and those will be tested. I'm going to have a midterm. We won't have a final exam, but we'll have a midterm exam. So that leads us to my course requirement. Okay, here is a book. You can actually take care of that. Okay, this is the requirement. So 48% of the grade will be on 6 programming projects. So I have 6 programming projects, 48%, and there is a participation 10%, which I will announce. I will actually describe more detail later. And then there is a midterm exam, 12% is early November. And then that's actually covered chapter 11 to 14. That's what I'm saying, the core chapter of the textbook and the concept. And then there is a final project proposal meeting with the instructor. So you are going to group yourself into 3 to 4 students, and you're going to meet with me schedule. And then that meeting is going to count about 10%. And then you're going to do a final project. I will spend quite a bit of time talking about the final project concept. For the final project, you're going to provide a demo video recording. It's going to be short. It's going to contain 10% some introduction, concept, motivation about why you're doing this, which is you actually got that from that meeting with me. So you're going to meet with me, and then I'm actually going to help you. I'm actually to be the person who is like your mentor in developing your project. And the thing is that you're going to provide a demo in the video, record the video, and then you're going to write down the list about each member, 3 or 4 people, what did you contribute to the project? Okay, so example, you can say, okay, this piece of code, person A did it, this piece of code, person B did it, okay, this person actually contribute, and then you actually want to record, for example, how many times you meet. For example, whenever you meet, you're actually going to report it. Who is that there? For example, you have 4 people, but there was 1 people never come here, never come to me. That will be recorded. By the way, we're going to use JSON to record it. That itself is an object concept on top of that. Okay, so that is going to be the final project recording, but you're going to provide a list. Actually, the list doesn't have to be mentioned in the video, but you submit a separate text file written in JSON itself. Okay, and then during the final week, and each of the team is going to meet with me for about no more than 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes, and I will schedule. Everything is over Zoom. And we don't have a final exam, so I will be asking you some questions based on the video recording and the contribution list you submit. Okay, so that's another 10%. Okay, so that's 100%. So 48% homework assignment, 10% participation, I will split later, 12% midterm, and then the other 30% is all related to your final project. So final project is very important. It will take a huge part of the class. Okay. I'm actually going to skip this topic to cover, because you will know that the first part I'm going to cover is chapter 11 to 14. That's data abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, and encapsulation. Those 4 topics. It's the first part. The homework is also based on that as well. And final project, I actually want to tell you the concept called object of the world. It's basically, I'm going to tell you that how to represent the world with object and paradigm. And now your project is trying to find one single application that you can actually go through those objects to solve some problem. Okay. All right, so there's some website I'm going to list it here, and this is my contact information. By the way, we have 2 TA. Any of the TA here today? Yeah, we have 2 TA. I need to announce there. I haven't met with them yet, so they will probably provide you some office hour. But this is my office hour, 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Oh, I forgot to write down my address, actually. I will announce the address, okay? So I actually say something about the first 2 weeks, you need to actually be familiar with Unix tool, and also the environment. If you have 3 choices. One is you use a Unix environment, such as if you're using MacBook, that's easy. If you're using a Linux system, that's easy. That's the first option. The second option is that you're using what we call CSIF. CSIF is a computer science offer a Linux environment, which is very nice. You can use that. But yeah, another environment I really love is actually using Windows. So using Windows 10, I provide an instruction about how you can install what we call WSL. It's called Windows Subsystem for Linux. It's actually how to run Linux it's like a virtualization of Linux. And it's a very high performance. It will take some time for you to do the installation, but you will learn a lot if you're interested. And we all use Visual Studio Code. Using Windows 10 plus WSL, and then using Visual Studio Code, which is really nice in combination that you can do all kind of work here. Okay, I think I'm done in time, and next time I will come back in the first set of slides to actually start talk about the basic concept. Okay. Okay, I will get some
Just slide.
Yes. No, oh, sorry, we don't have a discussion session today, but I will be here answering any questions. Okay.